What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Destiny 2 Season of the Arrivals video, and today I'm going to be going over a returning IKELOS weapon, the IKELOS SMG. Now, funny enough, I did not get this weapon in year 1 of Destiny 2 with Warmind. Unfortunately, I did not end up getting it, but now it comes with random rolls, which is pretty sweet. In and of itself, this SMG is aggressive frame, which means it's 750 RPMs. It falls in between, obviously, the 600 and the 900, so it's very interesting with this archetype because it does have a good amount of range, but the handling and the stability on it isn't very good. So you definitely have to have the right perks to be able to use this properly in both PvE and PvP. Speaking of that, let's first go over PvE. Now I'm going to pull up the perk pool here. If we look at the barrel options here, to be honest, I don't think barrel options are really going to matter in something like PvE. I mean, you're going to be up close to ads anyway since it is an SMG, so I don't think it's going to matter too much there. When it comes to the magazine, we do have a few options here that I believe are good. Obviously, the ones that are highlighted are something like Tactical Mag, which is, that's okay. A Pendant Mag, which gives you increase to the magazine. Extended Mag, again, increase to magazine even more, but you don't get that reload speed. And then you have Flared Magwell, which is a good option there. Seraph Rounds, which I'm surprised they don't have Seraph Rounds on here, just because it is an interesting perk, but they're saying that's more for PvP. Doesn't really matter there, but if we look at the perks in trade column number 1, ones that are highlighted here are Threat Detector, Subsidence, and Grave Robber. Now, I'd skip out on Grave Robber because we look at trade column number 2, we don't have anything like Swashbuckler. So my main ones, I'd probably go with Subsistence and then something like Threat Detector, especially if you have something like Subsistence and Extended Mag. Every time you get kills, your magazine is reloaded a little bit, right? So the bigger the magazine, probably the less times you'll end up having to reload this weapon, right? But if we go over to trade column number 2 over here, some of the ones that are highlighted that we see on the PvE is Disruption Break, which they were kind of showing how interesting it works when it comes to the anti-barrier champions. So if you're able to put anti-barrier rounds on the SMG and use Disruption Break, and you break the shield using the SMG, you end up doing more damage to that boss, because technically you did break the shield, right? So giving your kinetic weapon more damage, something like Mountaintop or Wither Horde, or it doesn't really matter what kinetic weapon, it just is able to do more damage, which in general, I find interesting that people come up with the stuff like this and actually end up researching it. But another one of the good options is pairing something like Threat Detector and Surrounded. Obviously, Threat Detector, more enemies around you, you get an increase to handling, and I believe it's like stability and reload speed and stuff like that. So in Surrounded, obviously, if you're surrounded by enemies, 3 or more, you're going to be able to do extra damage, which is going to be very, very nice. Now, do I believe this is the best PvE, like SMG or weapon in the game? Absolutely not. There's obviously better weapons out here that can come with something like Rampage or Swashbuckler or some damage-dealing perk like Multi-Kill Clip to be able to actually be a little more viable. But does this thing have some interesting rolls on it? Yes. Yeah, like obviously it can come with Vorpal Weapon and Demolitionist, which, if you have a specific build in something like PvE, this might end up working out in your favor depending on what build you have. Going over PvP, let's pull up the perk pool again here. Let's look at the barrels. Obviously, the ones that are highlighted are Chamber Compensator and Hammerforged Rifling. Basically, the game is telling you, hey, do you want to go for something like vertical recoil or range? Now, depending on how you play, you can choose and cater it to how you want it. Maybe even something like Polygonal Rifling if you want to go for stability. But there are plenty of barrel options here that can cater to how you want to play. With this type of SMG, I would probably opt for range since it can hit at a pretty good range. I would want it to hit even farther so it can drop those enemies more. If we look at the magazine, we have the 3 main options here, which is Seraph Rounds, which is basically ricochet rounds and armor-piercing rounds all at the same time, which is very nice. Something like Accurized Rounds, you get that boost to range, which is nice. Steady Rounds, you get the boost stability, but little less in range. I'd probably opt for Seraph Rounds or Accurized Rounds, and then if you get Steady Rounds, maybe go for that if you want something that's a little more stable. Something like Flared Magwell or Tactical Mag wouldn't be horrible either, but I think your top 2 options here are something like Seraph Rounds and Accurized Rounds. Let's look at trait column number 1 here. The highlighted one is Dynamic Sway Reduction, which I believe is probably the best option here. Basically, the longer you fire it, the more accurate this SMG gets. And so since it is an SMG, you're going to be firing it pretty quickly, and I feel like it's going to work out in your favor. And I feel like Pulse Monitor, even though it's not highlighted on the chart here, I feel like it's something that's okay, especially if you get weak. You get that your magazine gets reloaded, and you get an increase to handling while you're weak. So I think that's going to be pretty good, especially if you're going to be in, I would say, those close quarters combat situations with an SMG. Let's look at trade column number 2 here. The highlighted one is Tap to Trigger, which basically right when you tap the trigger, you get an increased disability for about a second there. Now, that is probably the best option there out of all of them, in my opinion. I think it feels good in PvP, to be honest. Like, I had a really good time with it. Obviously, SMGs are not the strongest weapons at the moment. But hopefully in the future, maybe they get like a slight buff or something like that to where they're maybe a little more viable compared to other weapons in the current meta, like Gnawing Hunger and freaking the Forward Path and all those adaptive frame auto rifles at the moment. Quickly going over Gambit. On the PvP side of Gambit, you're obviously not going to use this. It's an SMG. You're not even going to get close enough. I can guarantee it. On the PvE side, again, like I mentioned, this is not the best PvE style weapon, so I'd probably opt for something else, in my opinion. Overall thoughts, if we look at the perk pool previously, I think this is a weapon that's way more catered to something like PvP than PvE, so I would try to get that god roll of this in PvP, to be honest, and just test it out, because I thought it was really fun. I like how the gun sounds, I like the sights, and those are just cosmetic things, but again, you know, I really enjoyed this SMG. Alright guys, looks like we're at the end of the video. Just wanted to cover 3 things with you. Number 1, about support. If you're looking for the #1 best way to support me, there's a link below that'll take you to a 4-minute video that I made a while ago. If you want to go watch that, that'd be awesome. If not, it's definitely not going to hurt my feelings. You can also subscribe to the channel, like this video, share this video, follow me on social media with the links below, and all that great jazz. Number 2, regarding social media, I have a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, and a few others. If you would like to keep up to date on Destiny 2 related content, be sure to use those links below to find me on those platforms. And number 3, going over the clan, if you're looking to join my clan, we have some spots open on all platforms. We're looking for active players and community members in the Destiny community. And typically we like to play casual PvE and PvP a majority of the time. I'm definitely all about that solo grind, but I'm willing to definitely play with people in the community, like definitely willing to do that. If you're looking to join, there's a link to the clan page on the Bungie.net site below, and all you have to do is request to join and I'll approve it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll catch you next time.